Hello, we're going to do yet another lesson on measurement. This is measurement 8-17, surface area of cylinders. This is found in the Jump Math workbook on page 164. So let's get started. Take a look at the reminder box here. A cylinder is like a prism, but with circles for bases. So just like a prism, they've got a top and a bottom, and they've got a side, just one. It's kind of wrapped around. Take a look at number one. Number one says a paper towel tube is a cylinder without the top and bottom circles. So just like when the paper towel roll is empty and you're left with the tube, if we were to cut the tube vertically, as they have in the diagram here, what shape would we get when we opened it up, when we unrolled it? So if we took that tube and we unrolled it, we'd end up with a rectangle. It looks something like this. We'd unrolled it after snipping along this edge here. Now, if we were to take that same tube and we were to cut the paper towel diagonally, as they've got in this diagram, instead of vertically, what would we get up? Well, our top and our bottom would be the same, but it'd be diagonal instead of vertical. So what shape is it when the top and the bottom are the same and the other sides are the same, but they're not vertical? Well, that one is a parallelogram. If the tube has a circumference of 15 centimeters and a height of 12, what are the base and height of the shapes in parts A and B? Well, if the circumference is 15, that's the measure around the outside edge. That's going to be the base of my rectangle. So then the base is 15, and the height is 12. Now, if I take a look at the second shape, my parallelogram, well, the base is going to still be 15. And the height will also be the same. Do the shapes in parts A and B have the same area? Yes. They've got the same base and the same height, and I know that area equals base times height. They have the same area. It's the same tube, but it's just cut differently. What's the surface area of the tube? The surface area is base times height. And base times height would be 15 times 12. 15 centimeters times 12 centimeters equals 180 centimeters squared. Let's remember I'm talking about area. Let's skip down to the next question. Reminder, a tube is a cylinder without the top and bottom circles. So that's just a tube, just like we looked at the paper towel tube. Number two says, find the area of the tube by finding the length and width of a rectangle with the same area. So if I were to take a look at number two, I've got a circumference of 3. That's my base. And a height of 7. So the area is 21 centimeters squared. Number two is a little bit, B is a little bit more difficult because they give us the diameter, not the circumference. Okay? Now remember, the circumference of a circle equals 2 times pi times the radius. So when I take a look at B, I can see that if the diameter is 10, the radius, which is just half the diameter, must be 5. So circumference is going to be 2 times pi times 5. So for this one here, I'll use my calculator, and I'll use the 3.14 for pi. 2 times 3.14 times 5. The circumference of that circle is 31.4. Oh, that makes sense because 2 times 5 is 10. So that is 31.4 centimeters for the base, and the height of the rectangle is 4. So the total surface area then is 125.6 centimeters squared. I'd like you to try C on your own, okay? They give you the radius here, and you'll use the same formula of circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. That'll give you the base of your rectangle, and then you multiply by the height. Again, I'll put the answer key up so that you can check your own answers for C. Number 3, write the formula for the surface area of a tube in lengths of the circumference of the circular base and the height h. Well, if I have the area of a tube, it's going to be the circumference, which is my base, times the height, because area is always base times height. The diameter of a circular base and the height h. Well, the diameter is the diameter is 2 times pi, or sorry, 2 times the radius, right? So that is the diameter times pi times the height. And finally, the radius is going to be 2 times the radius times pi times the height. Okay? Remember, when we're multiplying, it doesn't matter the order of the term. So if I say 2 times the radius times pi, it's the same as saying 2 pi r. Now, 2 pi r is the same as circumference. So the key idea is you always want the circumference around times the height as the area of that tube. Let's take a look at number 4. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. Which of these shapes, right here, can be a net for a tube? Okay, so which ones could be rolled into a tube? Well, taking a look at this one here, this is a square. We could roll that into a tube. This is a rectangle. We could roll that into a tube. Of the other ones, the only other one that could roll into a tube is this one. Why could E roll into a tube as well? Well, because it's a parallelogram, right? So whenever I've got anything where the top and the bottom and the left and the right are equal, then I can find the area. So that could be a tube. Let's move on. A can of food is a cylinder. It has both top and bottom circles. So now we're not just looking at a tube, we're going to look at what's the area of a total can. That's a tall, skinny. It's more like a pop can than it is a food can. Thinking of tuna cans, they're always short and fat. So first off, Let's find the area of the can. Sorry, that was my just rambling there. First, the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle is stretched out for us right down here. And they say it's 2 times pi times r equals 2 times 3, which is 6 pi equals 18.8. That's the base of the circle. Sorry, that's the circumference of the circle, which is the base of the rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is going to be 18.8 times 13, base times height. So use your calculator. 18.8 times 13, and the area of that rectangle is 244.4 centimeters squared. To find the area of the top circle, we're going to use the formula for the area of a circle. The area of a circle is equal to pi times radius squared, pi r squared. Okay, so to find the area of the top, we have to use 3 times 3, which is the radius squared, times 3.14. And I get 28.26 centimeters squared. Again, I'm using this formula here, pi times the radius squared. Now the area of the bottom circle is going to be the same as the area of the top circle. The top and the bottom are the same. So the surface area of the can then is going to be the area of the rectangle plus the top and the bottom. 244.4 plus 28.26 plus 28.26, and the grand total is 300.92 centimeters squared. That's what I got as an answer anyway. Let's take a look at the next question. Let me know if you get something different than I do, if you get stuck. I don't mind working through these again. Just got to erase this here. Okay. Which net matches the can in part A? What's wrong with the other net? So we've got a choice between two different cans here, and the one that matches is going to be the one there that has a circumference of 18.8. So that's got to be this one here. The reason it's got to be this one here is because if I take a look at the circumference of this circle, it's 18.8. Okay? Whereas this one here, the calculation is wrong because this is only 13, and the circumference of this can't be 13. That's number 6. Which cylinder matches each net? So in A, I've got A and B. I want to know which cylinder is going to match B. Sorry, which is going to match this shape here. I've given the answer away. It's B. B matches this one here because the height of the cylinder is very short, which means the height of the rectangle is very short as well. Okay? What about this one? I've got, I've got 3 different ones to choose from there. What about this one here? I've got a tiny little circle and a very long, tall cylinder? Well, that one's going to be D. And then this one here, I've got a medium-sized circle here, and this is the height of my rectangle there. Okay, now the top and the bottom are not huge, but they're not tiny either. That's going to be E. We're going to ignore B and C. We're going to take a look at 7. 7 will be the last question we do for this lesson. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. Find the surface area of each can by first finding the area of the rectangle and the area of the top and bottom circles. Here's where we put it all together. We have to find the area of the top and bottom circles, and we have to find the area of the rectangle that makes up the tube of the side of the cylinder. So first off, let's find the area of the let's find the area of the rectangle. I need to find the circumference of this circle here, the measurement around the side. Remember, circumference equals 2 pi r. Well, the radius is 5, so 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 3.14 is going to be 31.4 centimeters. That's my circumference. So the area of the cylinder then is going, or the rectangle on the cylinder is going to be, I need some extra space, I'll work over here, 31.4 times 5. Use my calculator to find that the area of the cylinder is 157 centimeters squared. Now I also need to find the area of the top and the bottom. Now the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. Okay, so area equals pi times 5 squared. Okay, so order of operations, I have to do exponents first. So 5 times 5 is 25 times 3.14 equals 78.5. Now there's a top and there's a bottom. So my total area for this one here equals 157 plus 78.5 plus 78.5. I'm going to add those all together here. I'm running out of space. 0, carry the 1. 8, 16, 24. 4, carry your 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. 14, 21. 1. Whoops. Run out of space. Let me move down here. Oh, 21. Carry your 2. 2, 3, 10, 17. And keep my place value. No, something's not quite right there. It should not be that high. Let's try that again. Mistakes were made. All right, so that is 0. Keep my decimal in there. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 8 plus 8. So I get 4, carry your 2. 2 plus 7, 2 plus 5 is 7. 14, 21. 2 plus 1 equals 3. That's better. 314 centimeters squared is the area for this one here in A. I want you to do B and C. Now, these are not easy questions. You have to apply everything that we've done so far. I'll put the answer key up there, and I'd like you to check your own work there. We're going to skip 8, and that's the lesson for surface area of cylinders.